Wow, welcome back once again for Bandwidth and Banter, the Legacy of Loremasters Special Edition. Oh my goodness.
That was a big sigh. You did a big sigh.
Yeah, that sigh was because we were gone a whole month and I've missed it too much. Like, I'm so
Big
happy
sigh.
to be back. It's I can't believe we were away for so long. But this is a sigh of comfort and relief to be back doing this again. And man, the last time we did B&B was in January. Not January, excuse me, December. And the last LOL, Legacy Loremasters person was It Is the Pain. Who was our last actual B&B person? Squeaks, right. Oh, Squeaks. Yeah, one of the Nerdy Northerner folks. Like, holy crap, he was amazing. Yeah. I didn't realize he was the last one. Wow. Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, speaking of fantastic, we're super stoked and honored tonight to have on for the third time one of our favorite people on Twitch. And what's cool is when we first interviewed him on the regular B&B and then the B&B returns, I didn't really realize how much, that he was into D&D, because that's not something he talks about in his streams. It's kind of he might talk about it occasionally, but it's not part of his content. And he does it personally. And so that makes it feel even more personal. And I can't wait to hear all about his D&D perspective on things. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about the amazing, incredible Iltisine. Let's have that man on right now. What's up, my brother? Oh, you're muted.
Oh, I am muted. What's going on? Hello, Twitch chat. It's not an official stream if you're not muted accidentally at some point, right?
Yep.
I'm just helping out here.
Yeah, gotta keep it up. Gotta keep it.
Yep.
That's what we do.
No worries. Those kinds of issues, you're right. They that it's actually a Twitch stream. It's live, baby.
Yeah. I have people to talk to, so now you guys can actually tell me I'm muted as well. It doesn't take 10 minutes,
For chat to go, are you muted?
Yeah, right?
Ilts.
Druid.
Iltisine. Such an amazing human being. Guys, before you do anything else, go. I know we saved this for later, but we're going to do it again later. But do yourself a favor. Click on the link below in the title and follow and support this amazing streamer. Especially if you love cozy, mind-bending kinds of streams. Satisfactory and Factorio, right? Those are kind of some of your bread and butter.
I have streamed those in the past, yeah. That type of factory game, something chill and relaxed usually. Which I say usually I am a variety streamer. I've been playing Path of Exile 2 recently and things like that. So
right, I caught some of your PoE 2 sessions and that was awesome. But today we're talking about something you do offline. Let's kick this off. I'm gonna give it to Druid to start today. Right? Oh, you're the green. Oh, I guess I'm supposed to start it. Okay, well, all right. Kick it off then.
Obviously, we're out of practice, you guys. I just want you guys. We're out of practice.
We're a little rusty, and I'm not talking about our friend who gives us orange fizzy potions. So please, Iltisine, share with us your D&D origin story. How did you get into Dungeons and Dragons?
Well, it's kind of an interesting question. I have 4 different points that I've kind of gotten into it. With a hobby. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since about 98 or 99. When you're doing something for that long, it really changes over time. The original time that I saw Dungeons and Dragons was I was with one of my friends at his house, and it was actually his brother and 2 of our other friends in his brother's room, and they had somebody that I didn't know at the time there DMing them. I didn't know what Dungeons & Dragons was or anything like that, but we weren't allowed in the room. So me and my friend John actually sat in the hallway watching them play from the hallway originally. And that was my first experience watching D&D. After that, we got into a group where they were playing 2nd edition, but it was a larger group, like 10, 12 people. And from there, we got into 3rd edition as it was coming out, which that's the books I have behind me. I put up a picture of the 3rd edition D&D books because that was really where it started for me mostly. Yeah. I played 2nd edition, but never owned the books. I was actually only with that group about 4 years, though. And then I moved to Ohio from Michigan.
Only 4 years.
Yeah, well,
So 2nd edition was where you started and then moved to 3rd edition? Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Although I didn't play 2nd edition for a long time. There's just a few things here and there. I started a group in Ohio in 10th grade with people that I met. I actually took the core rule book to school, and somebody else that was interested in D&D saw me with it. And we started talking, and that's how we started playing there. After high school, a lot of our friends moved away. And me and one of my friends from 10th grade that started playing actually went to Craigslist in like 06, 07, something like that. 05, 06, somewhere around there. And we formed a group with people that we met off of Craigslist. And, Craigslist is kind of a sketchy website or whatever, but that group played together for years, actually. People join, people leave, whatever. But yeah, I still talk to some of those people to this day. The last time of me getting into D&D was after moving further away from where that group was, kind of detached from them, and then I've been playing online now for about 8 years or something like that. And I'm still playing once a week, every Friday night, actually.
Which edition?
Love it.
Well, we're actually not playing Dungeons and Dragons technically. We're playing a different tabletop game at the moment. Stars Without Number. It's actually a sci-fi tabletop game right now.
Cool. Neato.
Before that, we were playing 13th Age, and we're playing 5th edition D&D for the majority of the time, but we've started to bounce around to other systems as well.
Nice.
Right on.
Yeah. Have you guys played any other systems besides Dungeons and Dragons yourselves?
Technically, I know one that she's played.
Yeah, it was the Aliens versus Predators TTRPG. We played that with Old Man Garrus.
Yeah.
And basically you had these character cards that you could pick what character you played, and each character had micro tasks in the middle of it. It was so much fun. I was the drug addict pilot. Adrenaline junkie pilot.
Yep.
I almost killed us because I didn't pull the ship up. I just stopped the ship, and
Squish.
Yeah. But we survived, okay? We were fine. Okay?
All right.
I was brutally murdered at the end of it, but it's fine.
Yeah. For myself, I have played a ton of different TTRPGs. Even back in the day, I got into D&D in '81 with the original BX set. And not long after that, the same friend of mine, or a different friend of mine and I, we played Gamma World, which is kind of the spiritual ancestor of Fallout. Or actually, technically, it's the spiritual ancestor to Wasteland, which was the spiritual ancestor to Fallout. And
gotcha.
But I've also played Shadowrun. I've played the White Wolf series, like Vampire and Mage and Werewolf, and I've played a bunch of differences. And of course, like she said, the thing with Old Man Garrus, the alien system was really unique and interesting.
Yeah,
that's cool. I've not played that one. I did play a Star Wars game called Edge of the Empire. I'm not actually that much into Star Wars, but I like sci-fi, and we did it more as a sci-fi bounty hunter out in spaceships. We didn't actually use the Force or anything like that,
That sounds amazing. Actually,
and it's one of my favorite systems because they have a really unique dice set. Actually,
I was going to ask. I was going to just actually jump in and ask you, what is your favorite TTRPG that you've played recently? And it sounds like this one.
It's definitely Edge of the Empire. They don't have like numbers on the dice, so it's not like you're rolling a 15 versus a DC of 14. They have just success and failure. So you can get that on a roll, but they also have like advantage and disadvantage on the dice. So you can like fail but get an advantage. So maybe you're shooting at somebody down a hallway and you don't hit them, but you hit like the electrical panel and it burns the lights out above your group, so they have a harder time hitting you with their next attack.
That's neat.
And they even have, I forget the exact names of it, but it's something like super advantage, super critical, or super failure. Which is
so like stacking.
a third mechanic of the dice. So you can like, you can roll and you can hit, but get a critical failure. So maybe you shoot the guy, but the bullet goes through him and pierces the hull of the ship you're on.
That's awesome.
It's really narrative with the dice, and it's really, really cool.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. I can't wait to hear about some of your adventures. Speaking of though, our main focus is your DM style, because you obviously are a dungeon master. Before we move on though, this game that you guys are currently playing, are you the dungeon master or are you a player?
In the game I'm currently playing, I am playing as a player.
Okay.
Most of my experience has been with DMing. The 13th Age game that we just finished 4 weeks ago, something like that. I was DMing that one for 35 sessions, I think.
Nice. That's a pretty good hike. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Druid.
I was just going to say, because I actually went back and I looked at your original questions from when we first interviewed you, because I remember that's when I discovered that you DM'd. And that's when we learned that you had 20 years of Dungeons and Dragons experience under your belt. And then we snuck in like the what is the lock and key incident. And like the whole time you were just like, how did you? And I'm like,
on that note, I know that you asked people about things for that original interview. Did you ask anyone anything for this interview at all?
No,
there's no gotcha questions for this one. So yeah.
I was just curious more than anything.
Yeah. I was about to jump in front of you. Go ahead, Druid. You got this.
I know. I was gonna say, don't you dare take my question.
Sorry, I keep thinking that the green is me. I'm sorry. I don't know. I have it backwards.
Green.
I know.
Green.
I know.
I love you, Stormy. I'm just teasing. This is we're just back. It's fine. So, Ilt, how do you go about crafting a campaign from scratch?
Well, you start somewhere and then you just expand on it. No, it really depends. Generally, coming up with a world and what's going on in the setting itself is a good beginning point. I will come up with a world. I always use custom worlds. Even if I do use a map from some other system or something like that, I will detail everything in my own way. The start of a campaign is generally with like one intro adventure hook. Something like the characters are getting together, they have a job for just that they're getting paid for, they found somewhere, depending on their backgrounds and storylines, how they got there. I'll go into that in detail. Why the group is together. And like the last campaign that I started, it was you're going into ancient ruins in a forest. Somebody's looking for these specific ruins and they're going to pay you for it. And then I kind of build off of that initial hook with the character storylines and how they go about dealing with it. And I like to add in some sort of moral choice usually. So maybe they're visiting an ancient, or not an ancient city, but a city that's been in ruins for like 20 years or something. And I'll throw in an orphanage that they find. And then as they're adventuring around it, they notice they're being watched, and those orphans are still alive and have been, unsupervised for 20 years. And how they deal with maybe the orphans have something they need, if they just attack them, or if they try to barter with them or talk to them, things like that. And I see how the party deals with it. And a lot of it is based off of that. Is I want to see what this group of adventurers, how they overcome problems, and then the rest of the campaign, I build off of that.
I love that. That's unique. That's a different way of doing things and that's why we love doing Legacy of Loremasters, is we get to hear these different unique takes and perspectives on how to craft a campaign and get it started. And that's wonderful. It makes it very personal because
It does.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love tying the game into the characters because it brings the players in as though they're a part of the world. So maybe you throw in, if somebody was like enslaved for a while in their storyline, you throw in one of the guards that was, watching over them in the prison. But then when they finally confront them, you throw in a twist that the guy left the prison because he had a son that he would have been killed for or something. So do they still kill the bad guy, or do they find a safe place for this guy to go with his son and everything like that? I really like the moral hooks and twists and things like that.
Mad respect, brother. That's awesome. So in that regard, obviously to make those moral hooks more convincing and make them work right, you have to factor around interesting NPCs. What's your method for designing interesting NPCs?
It really depends on the NPC. You got to give them something unique if you really want them to be interesting. If it's going to be a major character in the game, what is their almost like creating a character. Like, what's the background? Where did they come from? Why have they done what they're doing, and what goals do they have? What kind of quirks would they have that would be recognizable? Who they work for, anything like that can be the beginning of a hook for an NPC. And then generally just through role play, I come up with a lot just as I'm going. Yeah. So my plans for a session may be like 4 or 5 sentences, and then I'll have a couple of maps in case things happen. And then we go from there, and depending on what the players do when they get to the situation, it depends. I'll even expand like on the character's story right in the moment because I'm bad and I don't plan. Planning takes a lot of work.
I don't know if I would agree that you're bad because you don't plan. Sometimes the best, most interesting things the DM can come up with is something they came up with on the fly. I have found. So
yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, I'm not saying you don't plan. Obviously, like you just need a skeleton. You don't need to have a fully fleshed out, skinned human being.
Exactly. And I think a lot of it is almost better sometimes, but that's why I do write a few sentences down, because it will be, maybe this will happen, maybe this will be something that I introduce depending on how the party approaches the situation.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have like a NPC that you just throw in every once in a while? Like to every
I was going to ask, good on you. We're getting right back in sync, dude.
I've got a lot of names of cities and NPCs that I will use. Like Sword Coast and Faerun has like Elminster, and they've got Baldur's Gate and Candlekeep. And there are names like that I will throw in. Elminster is like the Grand Mage of the Faerun and everything. Mine is Magtherian. I've actually had Magtherian as a mage appear in some of the campaigns. But he's always just, the world's most powerful mage and things like that. I've given him a tower before that just teleports. Or that he is able to teleport.
That's awesome. Yep. That's awesome.
The other things that I keep bringing back from one campaign to the next would be like the city of Akaris. Akaris is always like a massive city, metropolis type thing. Generally very war focused. Not really moral. And then I've got another one, Carthus. Carthus is more of the divine city. That's where, the world's temples are and all of the clerics and paladins, things like that.
Cities as NPCs. That's a novel idea. I love it.
Well,
I mean, indirectly.
Indirectly, yeah. They do have their own theme, I guess, for sure.
Yeah.
And every campaign they come into, they're the same way, if, a little bit different for the world, depending on what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. No, I like that. Because like as a player, if we had reoccurring stuff, like it would be the same thing. Like I as player would be like, okay, I know exactly what to expect
here. Yeah, exactly. And Akaris, I think I came up with that either in high school or right after high school. I had one map that I drew out on graph paper that was like 6 or 7 different sections.
Oh, wow.
And they all connected and went side by side, and those were some of the major cities on that original map that I made. And I've just, I liked the names and was able to remember them, so I just keep using them over and over again.
I love that.
I love that. I know when I was a kid starting out, and I like to draw maps. I would also sometimes, take a lighter and like burn the edges of it so it looked like old paper.
And you could take lemon juice and sprinkle it on paper, and it makes it age it. Makes it look like it's aged, a little bit yellowed and things like that.
Yep.
I'll actually do sort of the same thing in Roll20 now. Instead of having like a physical paper that I'm like burning or ripping and things like that, I will search for like parchment paper, artwork and things like that on Google.
Right.
And then I'll take that in an image editor and some type of script that looks like it's handwritten and write out a message or something to the players, and I'll present that to them in Roll20. Like if they get a note from a family member or whatever.
That's cool.
That way they have something to actually like look at on the screen,
Yeah, hell yeah. That's so fun.
Yeah.
I love, because when it's like old and weathered, you're just like,
Yeah.
It's very fun to me.
I'm a very visual person, so I like presenting things like that. Even when they walk into a city, I will like Google images of fantasy cities and try to find one that fits with what I'm going for.
Yeah.
And it's a backdrop. It's not necessarily like a battle map, but it is something to present for them walking into that area.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you use Roll20 for all of your stuff?
I do. Everything I've played online. I've been a member on Roll20 for I think 8 years or 10 years, something like that.
Gotcha.
And I did buy a lot of the 5th edition content, the different books on Roll20, so you're able to use everything in my campaigns directly, like drag and drop. It also gives you all of the monsters automatically when you buy them on Roll20, so you get to drag and drop different monsters in. And classes. The Character Mancer just lets you build characters in 5 minutes if you need to,
Yep.
It's really convenient.
Yeah, because doesn't it connect with D&D Beyond too? Or no?
It doesn't, no. I think D&D Beyond connects with something else. I know people who have used that. I don't have any experience with it myself.
Yeah.
You might be able to connect Roll20 and D&D Beyond. I don't know, actually.
Yeah, I know that
I wish I remembered.
Wizards is working on their own, a virtual tabletop, but they haven't released it yet. They've just shown videos of it. What's funny is there's, I forget the name of it, but there's one on Steam. There's a couple on Steam that they're basically jumping ahead of Wizards of the Coast and doing what they were trying to do, and they've already started doing it. And one is usable. People actually use it. I'll have to remember. I think I sent myself an email or something. I'll have to find it.
There's always I think it's like Tabletop Simulator even, where you can go on
right?
there.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, and it acts like a virtual tabletop, and you can create character sheets and everything in there.
Yeah. This one starts
I know
with
people
a
have used that
D,
too.
And what it does is, I don't know if it handles the character sheets and stuff, but it basically, you can craft a 3D world and you have 3D miniatures, and the players are playing it at the same time, and but they have control of what angle they want to look at. They can basically zoom out and move around. So
yeah,
like I wish like my camera that I use for my mat cam, I could do something cool like that, but you know.
that's something that you do on your streams when you stream D&D that is really unique. I think is actually having, you know, a real space with a map that you draw and everything. I've caught a few of your D&D streams, and it's really cool to see that you actually have it, you know, in person.
Thank you. I appreciate that, sir.
Not something I've seen in other D&D streams. Oftentimes it's Roll20 or something similar.
Yeah. No, I like the tabletop aspect. One day I'll be able to actually annoy Stormy as he's drawing something. That's my goal. It's just you mean this line and like.
Oh, because we'll do it in person at the same table. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, and then he'll like, no, bad roots.
Spray.
You guys ever
get my spray bottle?
D&D, you have to stream it.
just touching everything.
Absolutely.
One day, just the idea of being able to move my own.
Yeah.
Without having to go. Okay, no. The characters left. Not your.
Druid would become the encounter at that point. Then
I would be the encounter.
Yeah.
Back when I was playing in person, we went through so many different ways of trying to make the tabletop grid systems work.
Mm-hmm.
We started off with like graph paper, and I would imagine that you did too, Stormy, where you're drawing the maps out on the graph paper and people could just move around that. And
well, when I started, it was theater of the mind. We used like literal graph paper, and you drew the map as you went, right? But figurines weren't even a thing when I started. So, I mean, technically speaking, even though I guess you could get miniatures, it wasn't something that we did. But yeah.
But originally, we moved dice. Like each person put one of their dice on the map, and the dice was their character.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I would use dice for the enemies and things like that as well. I had like mini D6s, and I would use the mini D6s for the groups of enemies.
Like these?
Yeah. Mine are yellow. I think I might actually have some here. I grabbed my dice out of my bag for this interview.
Oh, heck yeah.
I have not actually opened this in probably 8 years or so.
No way. So, well, that's right, because you use Roll20 for all your rolls.
Yeah. I've played online for so long. It's been a long time. Let me see if they're in this bag or not. If they're not, then I can't get them. But oh, yeah.
So excited.
Here we go.
Yep. It's exactly the same tiny little die.
Yellow.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I got a purple one and a blue one.
I have my original dice set here. This is the first one that I bought when I was in Michigan. So this dice set is like 25, 26 years old.
Oh, wow. You got me beat there. I don't think I have. No, I definitely have some dice that are that old because I got them with Star Kitty, and we've been together 20 years now. So, wow.
They are red with white numbers on them, and it's the entire set still. I think I replaced one at some point because I lost one. The D percentile has orange numbers, you can see there.
Mm-hmm.
And to go with those dice, I've only ever gotten one tattoo in my life.
Oh my God, dude. You are the real deal. Holy shit. Have you ever shown that on stream?
I think so. Okay. I think I've shown it here or there in the past. But the dice on the tattoo are that original set of dice, which is the first set of dice that I ever bought.
That is so great.
That's epic.
I love that so much.
I knew you would. As soon as he whipped that gun out, I knew it. I knew you were gonna like it.
Dice.
I've had that tattoo for probably 8-10 years or something like that, and it's the only one I've ever gotten.
One day I'll get a dice.
Oh, speaking of encounters.
Yeah.
I was waiting. I was getting there.
I know. You're good.
Thank you, Brandon. I see chat too.
Yes. Brandon. Iltisine. How do you go about crafting encounters? Do you like plan encounters ahead?
I definitely plan encounters ahead. I might have used random encounters when I was starting out early on, things like that. In person, probably more as well. Since I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons and tabletops online for so long now, I definitely plan them ahead. And what makes an encounter interesting for me is realizing or finding out why the enemy is there, or the encounter is there specifically. Not every encounter is an enemy, you know.
Right.
What their motivations are, why they're there, even in dungeons and things like that. Like if you walk into a room in a dungeon and it's got like a locked door or something and there's goblins inside, there's other creatures in the dungeon beyond it. I'll come up with like a broken wall in the dungeon that has a small cave that leads out to a tree stump or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the goblins get into and out of the dungeon. Or that way you know like how the goblins access that area, why they're there. It's a safe space for them, and you're raiding their home now. Do you kill them?
There's that like moral dilemma that you like to just throw out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. It all comes back, right?
It all comes back to how can I hurt my friend's feelings a lot.
Well,
that's what we're gonna do.
Encounters to me, like a fight, just random fights do happen. Sometimes that can be unique in and of itself, but how the players approach the problem of an encounter, and whether or not they do just draw weapons and decide to fight their way through it, or if they try to barter or whatever the players may do, I think comes in really unique to make the encounters more interesting there.
Love that.
So,
right on. Do you have a favorite encounter and that that you've crafted that you were really impressed with yourself on?
I do. It got ruined by the party, but that honestly just made it more fun. I like dragons a lot. When I play D&D, I am one of the DMs where a couple times through the campaign, you're probably fighting dragons, or at least meeting them, you know? And one of the encounters was the party was going after a dragon. It was up in the mountains, and they enter a large room, and there's openings up on the sides of the room. And the way that the dragon wanted to fight was he's not going to just, face the adventurers head on and stand there, but he would fly from one opening, do a breath weapon across the room, and then exit through another opening. That way he can hurt them and still be safe. Sure, they get ready to actions off or things like that, but it didn't get ruined. But the way that one of the players dealt with this was it was a wizard, the person that was playing, and he had a lot of crowd control spells, and he used different crowd control spells at different entrances. So when the dragon was flying through, it was either getting damaged or grappled, whatever the case may be. And the party did end up winning that fight.
That's cool.
But
that's a
I thought that
one.
was.
I love it.
Thanks.
I recently learned about. I say recently. This is probably 2 months ago now. That there is actually like a canon dragon that's pink that shoots bubbles that does psychic damage. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I've never been so obsessed with the dragon concept in my life.
That is really cool.
I love it. So absolutely obsessed with the idea of pink dragons that shoot bubbles that do psychic damage. Obsessed with it.
One of my favorite aspects of dragons is their ability to polymorph into human form or elven form, whatever the case may be. So oftentimes, even in this last campaign that I was running in 13th Age, I had a dragon that when the party met it, it was actually a human, or I don't know, I think it was an elf or something, but it had like blue skin and stuff like that. And then after talking to it for a while, the party got to see it transform into a full dragon. They ended up not fighting that one. They sent it against their enemies.
Nice.
So they used the dragon against another encounter, Yeah, it was in a large thieves guild type of city. And the center spire in town was where the red masked bandits were housed. And they met this dragon in a wizard's tower. They actually freed it. And in exchange for freeing the dragon, they sent it against the bandits in the tower. So it was really well dealt with by the adventurers for sure.
That's an amazing encounter. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing some of your deep wisdoms there and creativity.
Of course.
So,
what about you? Do you have a favorite encounter you've used, Stormy?
I have a couple. The first one that comes to mind was the encounter in Isles of the Mist, where the party members, like the kind of the background of it is that for the longest time, Druid and Fate's character had been traveling, with Starkity's character, the bard, and they always thought she was a little crazy because she was always talking to this imaginary friend, and
never doubted her for a second.
Right, Fern didn't doubt her, but at any rate, so she was always talking to this imaginary friend that no one could see, hear, interact with, or even under any kind of magic. Like it really didn't exist. It was like an imaginary friend.
Couldn't even detect it.
Right. And the imaginary friend name was Philip. Well, in this campaign, I had several BBEGs leading up to the big BBEG, right? Well, one of them happened to be a beholder. And when they reached the beholder's lab, this was the first time they had ever encountered a creature like this. And it's very alien and foreign to this world. And as soon as the players met this beholder, it was so terrifying and foreign to them. But on top of that, because they now see this thing in its reality, now they can see Philip, which was her little baby beholder, who was real the whole time. But he was because he was a non-combatant and he himself couldn't really interact in the world himself either. Like he's sort of like slightly out of phase with existence. Is why they couldn't see him or perceive him or anything at all.
Okay.
And but now that they had a reference, the concept that I used was, I don't know if you've ever heard that story about that when the Spanish first came to the Americas, the Indians who first saw the ships coming off the shoreline couldn't see them at all because they'd never seen anything like that before. I don't know if I buy that, but that's the sort of the mythology is that they literally couldn't see them until they were close enough to land and see people getting off of them. So I liked the idea that your mind is shut off from being able to perceive something. Yeah.
It sounds like a perception filter from Doctor Who to me.
Right.
Like it's there, you just can't see it. It's out of the corner of your eye until you know it's there. Once you know it's there, then you can look at it directly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea.
Show Philip.
Oh yeah. Here's Philip.
Oh my god.
They Fate and Druid had him commissioned for Star Kitty, and we gave it to her as a surprise on stream, and she cried. It was awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave him right over here now.
Percepitude.
Yes. So
I can't read
in
out
that
loud,
encounter,
but I can remember.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Druid. What?
I was just gonna say I can't read, but I can remember the polyphiloponic percepitude for some reason.
That was yeah. It was a whole deep backstory beyond what I just described, but in that encounter, it was actually like a double plot twist because that came to fore, but also at the same time, their friend Rylar, who was with them, their NPC who was with them, Rylar suddenly started floating in the air with purple light coming out of his eyes and mouth and speaking in a different voice.
Like it very much.
So it was like a nice plot twist because apparently they knew that he was a warlock who believed he was a cleric of goo, is what he called him. Like, I'm a cleric of goo, but goo is a great old one, and Rylar Goo, the great old one that he followed, was, in my universe, the original beholder. And the baby beholder, Philip, was his original prototype. but it was defective because it couldn't interact in phase reality and do what he intended it to do. So he made new ones. And at any rate, I'm getting off on a tangent. We're supposed to be talking about you.
Oh, no, this is fine. This actually goes back to the questions that you've asked, how to make an encounter interesting. Mm-hmm. One of the things I think I pointed out was you have to relate it to the NPCs and their storylines and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So when they came across this beholder, you literally did connect it back to the character, and you presented Philip to the rest of the party as well. That is exactly like the same type of thing that I would consider in that, same way, same vein.
Oh man, that's very cool. That. I would totally love to play in one of your, even if it is as a one shot or something someday, if that's even possible. Even if it isn't, it isn't. But I would love it if I just want you to know that's awesome.
I will definitely keep you in mind.
Okay.
It's I've never actually streamed a game or anything like that myself. I did DM a game with a streamer who the streamer had streamed it. Mm. But like you guys had said at the beginning, I don't really do much of the D&D stuff on my stream. Mm-hmm. And that's maybe you could stream it if we do a one shot or something.
Okay.
I'll have to get you on Roll20. I'll have to teach you how to use it.
I would do it with you on your stream.
Oh, that works.
Mm-mm. Right on. So, last regular topic of our conversation, since we're moving things along, the perfect segue. What's your DM style for handling pacing methods? Like if you have, I guess it sounds to me like the campaigns you craft, are they open-ended enough that they just last as long as they last? Or, and then, but if people are pressed because they have to go soon, like how do you handle pacing, because sometimes it could be a pain in the ass.
It can. Pacing really depends on how the campaign has been running. Mm-hmm. I usually do start off with some type of encounter, battles, and one like little quest, and then generally they go back to where they got the job or they go to a town or something like that. And if I have like that first session that is really heavy combat, when I'm planning for the town, I will plan a lot more role-playing opportunities and maybe present them with like stores, markets, things so they can do some trading. Even when I'm doing out of combat stuff like that as well, when they get to a town or they're talking with an NPC and something is going down, I like to do kind of an out of combat initiative. Sometimes I'll have them roll, but most of the time it's even in my head. So generally in a D&D group of like 4 or 5 people, you'll have 2 or 3 that are really the ones who step up and they're taking the front lines, I find. I like to ask the other players what they're doing as well. And I'll do this maybe every 20 minutes or so, depending on what's happening. So it's if 2 or 3 of them are talking to an NPC, I'll ask what the other guys are doing and describe sort of the situation around them, give them other things that they might choose to interact with then. I find oftentimes some players will be almost completely combat focused, some are more role play focused, and I like to get everyone kind of combined into each scene. And then I like to change things up so it's not always constant. So if they do a little mini dungeon and then they get to town and do some role play, maybe the next thing is more of a long form dungeon crawl with a lot more combat and traps, things like that. And then they get out of it and maybe the group has some downtime where they're allowed to do crafting and things like that, or they connect with people in their backgrounds. But it's always trying to find something that they haven't done for a while. If the last like encounters were just like dungeon crawl or semi-random fights along the road, maybe I add a few like named important NPCs that are enemies. That way they have specific targets that they can research and go after. It's keeping it varied. Variety is the spice of life, as they say.
For sure. I agree 100%, which is why my collection of minis is so expensive. It's expansive. I want to be able to throw all kinds of interesting creatures their way, whether they're fighting with them or just interacting with them or whatnot.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point. That's another really good topic to keep on pacing. Is I generally won't have the adventurer fight the same types of enemies more than once or twice.
Right.
Even if they're raiding a dungeon that has a bunch of goblins, maybe they'll fight normal goblins in one room, and as they get further in, there's a goblin mage that accompanies them, and then you have more of a warrior goblin in another area. So you have, while they're still goblins, you still keep a little variety in the encounters, and they're not all, well, here's 4 goblin fighters and a goblin sorcerer 5 times.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So now we've finished with the main topics. We're going to open up the floor to people. While we're doing that, guys, think of some cool questions for our amazing friend Iltisine. And also in the meantime, please go check out his Twitch channel. Like he was recently playing Path of Exile 2, which I've been really tempted by. I would love to play it because it looks like what I hoped Diablo 4 would be. But unfortunately, the other reason I stopped with Diablo 4 was because my shoulder. The bursitis acts up too much when I play those kinds of games too long. For some reason, the clicking of the mouse for long periods of time really sets off my shoulder.
On that note, you don't even need a mouse to play Path of Exile 2. You can move around with WASD.
No, I know I can move around, but I still have to click to attack, right?
No, you can bind your spells. You may have to move the mouse around here and there where you want to target your spells.
Oh, really?
But a lot of your abilities you can bind. I think the buttons are like Q, E, R, T, and G are buttons that you can bind your abilities to. You can bind them to left and right click and middle click even as well. But like the other day, I was walking through some lower level areas with a friend, and I was just using one hand on the keyboard. It's really unique. The WASD movement in Path of Exile 2 is just, it's game breaking. It's so good.
That sounds awesome. I'm gonna have to try it just for that.
If you wait, it's coming out. Sorry, one more thing. It's coming out in December is when they plan to go out of early access. It will be free at that point. So if you are resistant, you can hold off and not have to spend any money on it.
At what month did you say?
I think it's like December, so like end of the year.
No worries. Give it plenty of time to bake. That's good. Yeah. I hope that Obsidian Entertainment gave Avowed plenty of time to bake, because I'm going to be streaming it on the 13th for 12 hours.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but it'll be my first 12-hour stream. But I'm risking it because it's a new release. It could be buggy as hell for all I know. So let's cross our fingers. What's funny is with Diablo 4, we did that. We actually bought the special edition so that we could start streaming it during that beta phase, whatever they had.
Yes.
And I feel like it was better during the beta phase than when it got out of the beta phase.
Yeah.
I know, as soon as it fully launched, all of us were like, fuck this game.
Yeah. I played through Diablo 4 once, got to end game, and it was like, all right, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
There's not a lot there that I liked.
Ditto. Yeah. I feel that.
The only thing that I liked was like how many people were like jumping on the bandwagon. We were all playing with each other, and that was the fun part.
Yeah.
That was the reason why I wanted to do it, is I wanted it to have a collective Stormkeep game that we played. And it worked for that. Maybe PoE 2 could be that, or you're right, Survivalist Gaming. Diablo 2 spoiled us. I feel like Diablo 2 is a better game in every respect than Diablo 4. I even like Diablo 3. I know a lot of people didn't, but
I didn't actually.
Yeah.
The way that I look at it is, if you relate it to Dungeons and Dragons, you've got D&D 3rd edition, then you've got D&D 3.5, right?
Right.
Pathfinder, when it came out, was basically D&D 3.75, because they took what D&D 3.5 had and they made their own game in 3.75, more or less.
Sure. Yeah.
Diablo 2 came out, and it was a successor to Diablo, but then Diablo 3, it felt like a different game playing it.
That's the way Diablo 4 felt to me. I felt like I could see what you mean, though, with Diablo 3 because of the graphics being so bright and colorful. And
Path of Exile, the original Path of Exile, to me was like Diablo 3. That's what Diablo 3 should have been.
Oh.
So Path of Exile 2 is just like Diablo 3.5. It's an evolution of that game versus, and I know some people have differing opinions on this. This is kind of a hot topic when you go into an ARPG stream, but that's my mindset on it.
Gotcha. Well, if I decide to get into it later on in the year, I will hit you up first for tips. So.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that.
I'm just going to throw this out there because it's relevant to what we're talking about right now. Alex asks, what does he think of Diablo Minecraft, aka Minecraft Dungeons? I don't know.
It's on my wish list. I've not actually played it, Alex. I've heard good things, but I haven't gotten into it yet.
What is this? I don't know what this is.
I don't know.
It's an ARPG, but it's in the Minecraft realm, more or less. So everything looks like it's from Minecraft and things like that. But it plays like an ARPG, so it plays like the old school Diablo 2. From my understanding. Again, I haven't played it, but that's what I believe it is.
Huh. Wow. Wow. By the way, hi,
it's
Alex.
On my wish list.
Hi, Wilbur.
It looks interesting.
All right. So you heard me, guys. Go follow and send all your subs and your biddies to Iltisine. And now we're going to jump into the other questions.
I was trying to sneak into Ilt's chat to do like a follow age to see how long I've been following Ilt, because I've known Ilt on Twitch longer than I've known Stormy.
Yeah,
that's right. Turn my bot on and you can do that. Give me a second here. It's loading. You should be able to do it now, Druid.
Yeah, I don't think I think it was several months that you knew him before.
3 years, a month, and 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you say?
Go ahead, Druid.
3 years, 1 month, 10 days, 3 hours, 11 minutes ago.
Wow.
December 27th.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a long time.
2021.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Damn.
How did you find him? Was it
I
think it was through Palu.
Yeah, so it was,
unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, so Josher, this was when I was a moderator for Josher. And then Palu would come in, hang out. And then it was through Palu that we ended up, because they both were playing Dyson Sphere program.
That's it. Okay. Because he's played that several times. I've caught a stream doing that. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I've got almost 2,000 hours in Dyson Sphere program.
Wow. That's amazing.
I played it a little bit.
I don't think I have 2,000 hours in any game.
Have you played MMOs?
Yeah, but we would get burned out way before 500. I think like Starkity and I played ESO, and we really enjoyed it a lot. What I liked about ESO is that you can actually play from first person, which is unique, and I loved that. Although when we teamed up for raids, people didn't like that. If they found out I was playing from first person, they didn't want me in their raid. They thought I would suck.
Okay.
Even though we just finished the raid, and I told them afterwards, like, obviously I didn't suck.
That's like being a hunter in WoW. People automatically assume if you're a hunter that you're not good at the class. Most hunters, like 90% of hunters, aren't, but you have to know how to control your pet is the big thing there. The reason I asked, though, is in like World of Warcraft and Rift and other MMOs, you can do like a /played, and it will give you how much playtime you have on the character. My name Iltisine came from my hunter in WoW. Back in like 2004, I created the character.
Right.
I played through the majority of WoW all the way up through Cataclysm.
Wow.
When I do a /played on that character, which I haven't played in years now, but I had like 110 days of time logged in and played. It's something like 2,500 hours. Yeah, it's like 25 or 2,600 hours.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that.
All right. So
one last thing before BT says Ilt was the first person I rated as an affiliate.
Oh yeah, BT.
Heck yeah, that's freaking badass, BT. I appreciate you, my brother.
Love that.
So
Survivalist Gaming asks, do you have an obscure or varied monster you like to pull out frequently?
Variated.
Variated. Sorry.
Variated monster. Not really. I think the biggest thing is dragons. Like I said, I'm a big fan of dragons. I love how they're portrayed as very intelligent and ancient. And I usually like them, even if it's an evil dragon the party's fighting, to have a conversation with the party and things like that. It's not often you'll just see a dragon and fight it and be done. There's almost always more to it than just that.
That's good. That's a good lesson for sure. If you meet a dragon, even if it's hostile, try and talk to it.
Oh, of course.
Nice. So I want to mix in some questions, some extra questions that we thought of while we're chatting with you. I'm going to steal the one that Druid threw up here if she doesn't mind. Do you prefer as a DM XP or milestone level ups?
When I started playing, and for a long time, we used experience. At some point, it might have been when I moved to Ohio, so like a couple of years after I started playing, or maybe even after high school, I did move away from individual experience for every party member. So I did keep everyone the same level.
Right.
So I'd give out experience, but everybody gets it all the time. I do also enjoy giving out like role-playing experience. If there's like a full session of role play, I feel like that counts. You're still building your character in some way, because half the skills that you have are social skills.
Yeah.
Half the skills that you have are for like surviving in the wilderness or finding traps and things like that. I have moved away from just giving experience out either, though. And that's something that you see in other systems besides D&D, is specifically even 13th Age, the one that I was running most recently. You don't actually have experience, you give the characters. They do a system where you have 4 fights on average. It can be more or less depending on how you feel as a DM. But you have 4 fights on average between a full heal up for the party. Between that, it doesn't matter if they sleep for an entire night. It doesn't matter if they have a month where they spend in, town in a tavern or something. But you go 4 encounters before they get a full heal up. And then after 4 of those, so a total of 16 encounters, that is generally when you're supposed to level your characters in 13th Age. And that is a lot closer to milestone leveling. And
interesting.
I do like milestone leveling now a lot more. It's just easier to keep track of, and especially with like pre-planning for campaigns a lot.
100%. I agree with you 100%. I used to be a big XP guy for, because back in the day, like original AD&D and original BX set, they had separate experience point tables for all of the different characters. So it made sense that you're handing out XP, because a wizard isn't going to level up as fast as a fighter, And so it made sense. But I'm with you. Like over time, I've been doing this so long, it just got to a point where it's it feels like you as the DM should be able to determine the pace at which, it should make more sense within the context of the world and the player's story that they're crafting, as opposed to just you just randomly get just enough XP because you killed this random encounter goblin. Now you're leveled up.
And we used to not award experience back in the day to people if they weren't at the session either. So if somebody had real life situations coming up every so often, they'd end up being a level or 2 levels behind the rest of the party. And I feel like from a player perspective, that always feels just really bad.
Yeah.
Because then in most situations, you're not as strong as the others and things like that. And it just hurts your enjoyment of the game.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
the number one thing is we're all here to enjoy ourselves and have a good time, DM as a player, it doesn't matter. That's what the point of the game is.
This man gets it. It's about a crafted experience of fun together. And sometimes the mechanics of the game have to get out of the way of that. And So yeah.
The rule of cool. If it's fun and people are going to enjoy it, just let it be.
Right.
It's fine. Yeah.
I love the rule of cool so much.
Yes.
Well-bred grape. I try to pull the rule of cool card all the time.
Yeah,
Like, I will argue on behalf of everyone. Like, what? But it's cool, right? So,
I don't know if I've actually had my players come up and like try to be like, "Hey, this is just cool. Let it work."
this looks super cool, man. No, I'm annoying. I'm annoying and opinionated.
Sorry, go ahead, Elt.
Generally, I'm the one pointing something out, like, "Oh, I think that's really awesome. Yeah, you could do that. That definitely works." It's like finding a locked door as like a wizard or something. If you have a fireball spell and you want to try to do like instead of a big fireball that blows up a room, like focus that fireball into the palm of your hand and melt through a lock on a doorway or something. Like that type of thing, to me, it may be a spell that you know and everything, but you should be able to customize it in my mind.
Absolutely. So. I love that. Well-bred grapefruit asks, you mentioned the party ruining an encounter. Has your party ever ruined one of your moral dilemmas?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I won't say that they've ruined moral dilemmas. They will definitely take it in directions that I'm not expecting. Like oftentimes I'll come up with a situation or a problem for them to get through, and I won't actually come up with a solution.
Right.
I may have ideas of maybe they can do that or this, or there's this way out, but they won't know about it. But I will put them in a situation and see what the party does. And if they come up with a solution, great. If not, then maybe I'll push a little bit here or there. But my biggest no-no as a DM is I'd never want to railroad the party.
Yeah.
I want my characters to have the freedom to do whatever they want to do. If they get an adventure hook and they ignore it, that's fine. Maybe they have something else that their character's actually more devoted to, That's probably my biggest pet peeve as a player as well. So I hate being railroaded. It's bad. I've been called out on it for being a player and calling DMs out on their railroading and stuff, which it's not great, but it happens.
Yeah, I mean, us experienced guys who've been doing this a long time have experienced the good and the bad side of things. Like I'm sure you've played with players that you and your group didn't ask to come back, sometimes you don't vibe with a particular DM. Their particular play style doesn't fit with your play style.
Yeah.
So,
and that's definitely a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
Is matching play styles. I think
another question Survivalist Gaming asks is, as a player, is there something you wish more DMs did? I guess this is a nice segue into this question.
It is.
I want your answer too, Stormy.
I guess one thing is something I pointed out where I go between the players. If somebody has not done something for 20, 30 minutes, I'll pause whatever is happening with the rest of the group and check in on them, see if they want to do something. And I think that's something I've seen other DMs not catch on to that I think is important. I don't get to play all that often as a player, so it's less on my mind, I guess. But I think that's something that should be spread or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right, Stormy, answer it too.
I don't know how to answer that one. As a player, is there something you wish more DMs did? I mean,
how long has it been since you've been a player in a campaign, Stormy?
What? Say again?
How long has it been since you've been a player in a campaign?
I mean, I've played not that long ago with like that aliens thing we did, and then
your Sunday campaign.
What was that?
Your Sunday campaign. You're a player now.
Oh yeah, my Sunday campaign with I forgot. Like we have a personal group that I play with on Sundays that we don't stream, and I've been their DM for probably 7.5 years of the 9 years that we've played. But the last year and a half, it's been one of the other players. And honestly, Sam has been doing sorry, Thrallstar. I just doxed you. Thrallstar has been doing a because he also comes in a chat from time to time, but he's doing a remarkable job. I haven't experienced anything with him that I wish that I wish he would do differently.
And I think that's part of the problem with the question too. A lot of the people that I play with are either very experienced or very into tabletops, so they're very good at what they do anyway.
Yeah.
So the DMs that I have had recently in the past few years and everything are really good. I don't have a lot of complaints about them.
I can say
that might make a difference as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can say I have had some experiences in the past with some DMs that, I mean, it didn't work out. I found that we weren't a good fit. Both Star Kitty and I felt we weren't a good fit when we played with them. But most of the time it was because they were really new. And I would probably guess it was the same thing that you experienced. It was railroading. And so I
can say tips to avoid as a DM is, like, if your party is working towards something and spend a bunch of time and resources and they come up with ideas on a way to get it done and their rolls are like even okay, passing DCs, things like that, let them succeed. The party succeeding is how the party has fun. One of the DMs I had in the past, we had a sort of trial, one of the NPCs. We were trying to save them from, it was either jail time or death or something along the lines. Mm-hmm. We spent a bunch of time getting information and interviewing guards, and we had witnesses that we were bringing to court and all of this. And we go through like multiple sessions of getting this set up and then the trial, and then the verdict was guilty anyway. All of the stuff that we did not matter. And everything that we tried to come up with, the DM came up with something to rule it out every time. Maybe there was an answer we just didn't find that would have worked, I guess. But it sucks to have that much investment as a player and just be told, nah, that fails. Mm. It's miserable. Mm. That was a long time ago, though.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ilt, how many players is your comfort zone? What is your ideal group?
Comfort zone is 4 players to 5 players in a DM. Mm-hmm. I have done, I say semi-recently, but it's been years at this point. I've done 6 players. But I think the perfect group size is 1 DM and 4 players. Even 1 DM and 3 players, I would prefer over 5 or 6, honestly.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. 3 to 4 players is my comfort zone too. I'm you said, I'm fine with 5 or 6. It starts to become cumbersome at that point. I think, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of anything beyond 6, because then you as a DM, it's lots of extra work for you, because you end up having to pad the encounter or pad the monster to make the encounter a challenge at all to 8 to 12 people.
I actually have a different reason personally. Mm-hmm. It's not even about the encounters and trying to scale to fit the combat or the role play or whatever the encounter is. My issue with larger groups like that is you don't get much one-on-one time with each person's character at that point.
Yeah. Yep.
If you bring in 1 NPC throughout a few sessions for everybody in the group, you're spending 20-30 minutes with 1 person over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Now that first person is waiting 2 or 3 hours before you ever get back to them. And that's where I like to rotate through my players. I like to keep everybody involved. It becomes a lot harder to do that specifically when you have a larger group, I find.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. On that same note, on that same line of thought, the other reason that it's not fun to have a giant group is because the players will be you end up, while some of the players are interacting and doing something, the other players will be bored and chatting and disruptive. And it's I mean,
I am the worst if I like even during like Dragon Metal Saga, if I am quiet for too long, that's when you'll see me start writing notes to Fate. Like, because I'm like, I am engaged, but like that ADHD bullshit brain of mine is just like, ooh, thought must share. Look at hello, husband. I must tell you this thing that popped in my head because, I am not in the middle of talking. I'm listening. So like, yeah. Having a bigger group would be awful to have me in. I'm just saying.
Yeah, part of the challenge of DMing though is combating that either ADHD brain or just the attentiveness of everyone.
I mean, absolutely. That is, as a DM, you want to. It does put a little pressure on, but to me, it's kind of a fun pressure. But you try and craft the experience as best as possible, such that if you can engage someone like Druid for a period of time, then you're doing a good job because
keeping me focused is hard as fuck.
she's yeah. But honestly, it works that way for everybody, not just folks with ADHD, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Survivalist Gaming has a question. The BT has a question. I think we'll be good.
Okay, I'll jump to BT's. I'll let you do Survivalist Gaming's next question. Because this is a fun ass question. I love this question.
He wants all three of us to answer, by the way.
Oh, okay. For all three of us.
And I actually have an answer.
BT asks, if you were to guest star in someone else's campaign as a monster, what monster would you want to be?
So one of the easy answers here would be a dragon.
Yeah.
But the more fun answer is something like a kobold. You're intelligent-ish as a species, but you could be a lot of fun. I had a one-shot. Well, I had a campaign going, and I had one of my friends who was visiting in town. We added him to the campaign for like that one session, and he played as a kobold. He had a unique character trait that when he was going somewhere, he always took a wrong turn. So I introduced him in a group of caves that the adventurers were going through in part of the Underdark, and they found him and they talked to him and they asked him if he knew where something was, and he said he did, and that he would lead them there, and then he started leading them there, and they went the wrong way. And that type of fun is really cool in my mind, just the chaos. They didn't know they were going the wrong way. We didn't reveal it to them until like afterwards. But like a kobold or a goblin, something, sentient race that is not quite smart, so you can kind of mess with the party.
I love it.
I think that would be a fun one.
All right, Druid, I want to hear yours.
I want to be like a warlock's patron, but like the Fae patron specifically. And then I would just do like whispering bullshit nonsense into the player's ear, because like I'm just happen to be very focused on you today. You are my focus today. And just be like super just pick their pockets.
Disruptive.
That's interesting.
Just disruptive and just silly. And, that's what I would want to be.
I like that we both went for fun answers there.
I gotta admit, you guys topped me, and I'm gonna falter off that. Mine is far more boring. My first instinct, like yours, was to go to dragon because I love dragons as well. But I'm with you but it's just thinking about it. If I were to be a monster, I would want to be a Death Knight because I love skeletons and undead, and especially the idea of like a skeleton warrior that's really badass. And there's nothing more badass than a Death Knight. Although
that's awesome.
The old Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, I guess technically speaking, if I had to truly pick any of them, I would be the old Fiend Folio Advanced Dungeons and Dragons skeleton warrior. Those guys were amazing. They were really cool. They had a really interesting background, and they were 90% magic resistant, which was cool.
Somebody I've played the game with for like 20 years now, their favorite creatures are undead. Mm-hmm. So that's right in line.
Stormy's favorite thing to throw at us always is undead. 100%.
I use them a lot. I think as a DM, they're a very convenient tool. Because, like I mentioned earlier, explaining why a monster is in a dungeon and things like that, with the undead, especially like the more mindless ones, they could just be anywhere and it fits, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not complaining. I just think it's very silly. Because I'm just like, is it going to be undead? It's a little game I play with myself.
I love surprising you this last Saturday, though. I had a feeling you and Fate were thinking it was going to be like a mummy lord or something in that sarcophagus. And then instead it turned out to be an Efreet. I surprised everybody. Even Star Kitty got surprised by that one.
Very nice.
Yep. It was very fun. Fucking killed that thing too. Oh,
is it my turn, question-wise, or yours?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I get to ask Survivalist Gaming's question.
Right, you do. Yeah.
Yep. Survivalist Gaming asks, what, with that, do you make changes to your dragons that would be, hold on, wait.
I think this question is in context of what you were talking about.
Oh, hold on.
Like it ties into his other question.
Yeah, it tied into the
obscure variated monster that you pull out frequently.
With that, do you make changes to your dragons that would be considered different? There we go.
For sure. I make changes to almost everything I throw at them to make them different. Especially, like I mentioned, different types of goblins. I'll do that for a lot of monsters. Maybe if it's like orcs or something, they have different weapons and one of them is wearing full plate, so that one's got a higher AC.
Right.
I will vary their hit points, so maybe one dies after 16 hit points and another one has like 32. And then definitely different special abilities depending on what system I'm playing and things like that, for sure.
Right on. So
I think that adds to making encounters more unique. Like you guys asked that question early on. That was one of the main questions for the interview. And yeah. I love taking the template, a standard template of a monster and making an upgraded version of it, by adding a couple of abilities or something. Like this last one, like I said, they fought an Efreet, but it wasn't just a standard Efreet. It had 2 special abilities that made it kind of terrifying. One was that it exuded this unnatural heat, and that unnatural heat turned off, if they had fire resistance, it turned off fire resistance, and anybody who didn't have fire resistance had fire vulnerability. And then on top of that, it had this other ability that one of its things it could do every round, it could summon a fire elemental if it wanted to. And if it died, instead it would pop up inside that fire elemental and absorb that fire elemental and be back at 50% hit points. So long as there was a fire elemental around that it had summoned, they couldn't beat it. So they had to basically do enough DPS to it, or make sure there was no fire elemental around. And they did. They knocked it out of the park. I was very impressed with how well they did. Did they figure out the mechanic while they were fighting the monster, or did that kind of come afterwards?
I think they did.
It happened at one time. It was in the middle of my round, and I was able to action surge.
So she's a fighter paladin, so she action surged with divine smites, which is insanely. Like I have to admit that I'm not a big fan of the 5e paladins. I think they're kind of OP DPS.
Oh, they are. That's a pet peeve of mine when players. I know you may not be doing this, Druid, but fighter paladin combo is very busted in 5e. And when my players do power game, that is something I'm not a huge fan of, but I let them do it. If
she didn't do it on purpose, it just worked out that way. I don't think she knew. Yeah.
And I'll say, for however long I've had action surge, I've only action surged like twice.
Yeah, she always forgets to use it.
I don't use like half of the abilities that I have.
Yeah.
Wellbred Grapefruit says Druid min-maxes. No. I have a lot of options available to me, but I don't use them.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I forget.
It's
pretty common to forget.
The true equalizer. If I paid attention to my stuff, it would be a min-max. It'd be awful.
I will pay attention to my character build, but I will build a weak character specifically to try to see what you can do with that. Like when 5th edition came out, Rangers were one of the weakest classes, was at least the information one of my friends had. So, of course, when I played, I made a Ranger, you know. I still think I did all right, but as far as like players min-maxing power gaming, one of the encounters that I had was a group of like 5 zombies, mutated zombies. So they were different from normal zombies. The adventurers were coming out of a cave system into the city and found these. And one of the mage of the group has a spell that targets up to 5 people. He maximized the spell damage. He one-shot like 3 of them, and the other 2 were almost dead from that one spell. That's definitely like the players breaking encounters came up earlier, and that was definitely one time that happened recently.
I mean, it can happen, you know. I mean, and you know, I don't have a problem with players min-maxing, you know, as long as the entire team isn't doing that, right? If a person likes doing that and they're having fun, that's okay, you know.
Exactly.
If that, you know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having one character, 1 or 2 characters that just like to have, you know, high level tactics and feel OP. It just means that you as a DM have to come up with more creative things with your encounter to counter their OP-ness. And I'm not saying you want to like put your thumb on them or anything. It's not like you're trying to ruin their fun, ruin what they did.
Yeah, you're not targeting them, but you're trying to make it interesting stuff.
Yeah. Well,
I love that, by the way.
Yeah. So let's we're actually close to the the time has flown. Yeah. Holy crap.
I know.
Let's
it
wrap
went by
up
way too fast.
Yeah. With another one last cool question. What do you have a favorite character? I mean, this isn't a DM question, or I guess it could be. Do you have a favorite character or NPC that you use, or a character that you've used as an NPC?
One of the I played this is probably 6 or 7 years ago now. I had a character that was Gersh. Gersh was a half-orc barbarian, and was all about protecting the party. Like at one point, I went out to fight something and told the party to run away, because I wanted to, you know, shield them from it and things like that. And she didn't want glory or honor; she did it just for their safety. And Gersh was a fun play because of that mentality. I also had really lucky rolls in that character, so I was really strong anyway. It was nice. I roll really well.
You and White Seer have that in common. Star Kitty is really good at that too. Oh my God, crazy. But actually, one more question. This is a better ending question, and that is, what if you had one tip, you know, that encompasses your philosophy of Dungeons and Dragons? What would you share with the folks?
Definitely that you're just there for a good time. Make sure that everyone else is having fun. Let yourself have fun as well. That's as a player or as a DM, I think that fits.
It's perfect.
It's collaborative.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Fantastic.
I think that's the biggest thing.
Awesome. Well, I'm sad it's come to a close, Iltisine. Oh.
I know. Now I'm like, God, now we have to say goodbye and shit. That's stupid.
I just want you to know, I really stay on the line after we get done wrapping up. I want to thank you once again. It's been truly a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. And you're fantastic, sir.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Everyone go support Iltisine, okay?
The other thing that you messaged me about for March, is that public knowledge yet?
That was something I was going to talk to you about after.
Okay. I won't say anything else.
Because I'm not sure about the timing yet.
Okay.
But yeah. She knows what it is.
Well, chat, there's secrets.
I guess we can talk about, because we've been talking about it. The bottom line is we're trying to get Iltisine to join us for the Wednesday 3-shot sessions that we're doing.
Okay, when you messaged me, you said Sunday, so maybe we'll just talk about this after stream.
Yeah, we have to. Okay, yeah. No, I must have either I mistyped or misread it or something. But yeah, they're Wednesdays.
Okay.
But, well, if that's not possible, we'll see. We'll talk about it. But
okay.
Either way, I want you to know.
Might be Iltisine D&D here.
Yeah, if you can do it, cool. The invite. I just want you to know that you're one of the first people that we thought of for when we conceived of this idea to do this. Because you're a forever DM most of the time, and I wanted to give you the chance to play, so.
I appreciate that.
You bet.
Sorry for ruining the surprise.
No. It's all right. It's all right. It's all good.
It's okay. It's
she's got to calm herself down with her little feather. All right. Thank you very much, Iltisine, for coming on the show, and we'll catch you in the river of Twitch.
Thank you for having me. I will stay on the line. I'm going to mute and AFK for a few minutes, though.
Okay.
Oh my God, we love you, Ilt. You're the best. I can't wait. Oh my
God. Wow. That was awesome. Now I honestly want it. I don't know if it'll ever happen because there's so much going on in our lives and everything. We're so busy, but I would love to play even just a little bit in one of his campaigns. I think he would be a fantastic DM. And,
it would be great.
Yeah.
And
I
love Ilt. I love Ilt. He's so good.
I do too. So announcements before we wrap up here. Like tomorrow we have Survivalist Gaming on the regular Bandwidth and Banter. What's his time? 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Right. Can't wait to see you on there. Talk to you tomorrow. Survivalist Gaming, you're amazing. And you'll be doing your Discord hangout tomorrow afternoon, right?
Yeah. So starting, it's going to be 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be hanging out in Discord, me and Fate, and we're going to be watching Dungeons and Delicious and Dungeon.
Delicious and Dungeon. Okay. Gotcha.
That whatever he said.
Yeah. Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, that'll just be like the pregame hangout before Bandwidth and Banter. And
gotcha.
Then yeah.
And then we have that thing that Yvonne told me
and
for.
Then we have that. Yep.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
I can't wait. I'm excited for that too. So
I know.
I don't think there's any reason why we can't announce it, right?
It's folks who haven't.
You've been talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I started building my character on stream. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah. So just as a reminder, Druid and I will be, I guess, guest starring on Havoc RPGs. He's going to be doing a Strixhaven campaign, and it's going to be a couple of Fridays per month when we can schedule and work around Bandwidth and Banter. And we appreciate that he's willing to do that. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be unique, mostly role-playing experience. I mean, I'm sure there's more than that, but it's very Harry Potter-esque. Colleges of magic and stuff. I can't wait. It's going to be badass.
Very exciting.
Also, another interesting announcement. Next Thursday, I'm going to be doing my first ever 12-hour stream. I can't believe I decided to do that, but we'll give it a shot.
Hey, you know what? It's on you.
It's for a special reason. We're going to be playing Avowed, which is a Elder Scrolls-like game, even though it's made by Obsidian Entertainment, the same folks who made Fallout New Vegas. It's a first-person perspective action RPG. kind of Skyrim-esque with the Unreal Engine 5. So I'm looking forward to that. And how about you, Druid? Anything else?
No. Okay. All right. Next Legacy of Loremasters is going to also be survivalist next month.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're going to have survivalists on for Legacy of Loremasters in next month. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to know him and his stream first before we get to know him as a DM. And
I know, I'm very hyped. Very hyped.
I'm ready to wrap this up. Are you? Yeah. All right. Thank you for coming to the show.
Please drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below.
If you're listening to the podcast,
please rate and review the episode.
We are Bandwidth
and Banter.
Thank you.
And good night.
I can't believe I did that without actually reading it.
And I had to read my first line. And then I was like, okay, I got this.
Bye, guys.